Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Friday morning. Glad you're here. Today we have a first-time guest, a longtime defense attorney right here in the city of Fresno. You may recognize the name and the face. Connect with Me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Back here on the program on a Friday morning. The week has flown by, my friends, and you're watching, of course, Connect with Me here on the showroom floor. I do have a couple of program notes just to pass along before we get started with the program today, and that is on Monday we've got Pastor DJ Kreiner in to talk a lot about what's going on at City Hall with Gary Brudefeld, of course, in the news lately, talking about the NFL players taking a knee. So DJ Kreiner has some comments about that. He just got back into town from a trip, so wanted to have him on a little bit sooner, but Monday was his first day available. We worked it out, so he'll be here to talk about that. And also, I want him to comment about what former presidents Obama and Bush had to say the last couple of days about what's going on in the Trump administration. So that's coming up on Monday, and another exciting week coming your way, obviously, next week. Also, last night, a huge sports night, especially for the city of Los Angeles. For the first time in 29 years, the LA Dodgers going to the World Series as the Dodgers swept up on the Cubs. What was the final? 11-1. Kike Hernandez had 3 home runs, the first Dodger ever in history of that Dodger organization to hit 3 home runs in a playoff game. Of course, on Sunday night, Justin Turner hit the game walk-off home run, the game winner. First time, 29 years to the day since Kirk Gibson had done that in the '88 World Series against my Oakland A's. So quite a feat. The Dodgers going in for the first time. Clayton Kershaw finally gets his chance to win a World Series, and so the frustration is over for now, but still, you know, they still have to play the game next week. Either it's going to be the Yankees or Houston. That series resumes tonight, of course, in Houston. For now, you're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375 as usual. It's Comcast Cable Television, my friends, and it's 10 to 11 o'clock in the morning, a call-in program. You may want to call in today at 436-MeTV option 11. If you don't have Comcast cable, doesn't matter. 13.1, 43.6 over the air, broadcast with a digital antenna. Then later in the day, I'm sure you know this already, with a digital antenna. This is over the air too. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6. This replays on YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight as well on 4.6 Biz TV at replays. But that's not on Comcast. That's over-the-air broadcast with an antenna, free of charge, I might add. Also free of charge if you go to your computer, your iPad, you can go to Ventura broadcasting.com. You can connect to the link of Connect with Me and go to our YouTube page and catch most of these shows. Our guest today is, well, he's a one-of-a-kind. I got to tell you, this guy's been around more than 30 years, one of the most high-profile defense attorneys in the entire city of Fresno. And I've known him for a very long time, hadn't seen him in a long time until I ran into him a few weeks ago and asked him to come on the program. But he's very well known around the Fresno County Courthouse. This is a case, and I want to run a piece of videotape, but I want to set it up by saying this is a case that you might remember from 2010. These are the kind of cases that defense attorneys have to handle. If they're going to become a defense attorney, they're going to have to go in this direction, my friends, and we'll talk about that during the course of the program. We have several attorneys in the building today to talk to, but the one and only, the founder of his law firm is here. He represented a guy by the name of Ruben Ortiz back in 2010. It was a gang shooting, a homicide. And for the first time in 26 years, back in 2010, this attorney, my guest today, convinced the judge to have that jury pool board a bus and go out to the crime scene. How unusual is that? Take a look at this.
Today took an extremely rare field trip to the scene where a 15-year-old was shot to death. The jury is more than a month into the murder trial against Ruben Ortiz. Ortiz was only 17 when he turned himself into police 2 years ago, but he's being tried as an adult, and he took part in something that hasn't happened in more than a decade. Action News reporter Corin Hoggard explains why the judge allowed such an unusual outing.
With 3 sheriff's cars as escorts, this classic charter bus toured the central Fresno neighborhood where a 15-year-old was shot and killed 2 years ago. Up and down Rowell Avenue they went, getting jurors on both sides of the bus a good look. After 4 weeks of trial, the judge granted this unusual field trip to give jurors a frame of reference for all the information they've heard.
Look at the terrain. Look at the surrounding structures, the cars that might have been going by, to see whether or not shots could have been heard.
ABC 30 legal analyst Tony Capozzi says field trips are usually helpful for jurors, but they're a logistical nightmare, so judges rarely allow them.
It is rare, and it's very unusual that it's granted, and the last that I can recall is the Ewell case back a number of years ago.
In 1998, jurors found Dana Ewell guilty in the murders of his father, mother, and sister after visiting the Sunnyside area home where they were killed. In this case, 12 years later, Ruben Ortiz faces murder charges too, accused of killing a rival gang member. His attorney is arguing that Ortiz only shot in self-defense, and he also says the victim was probably killed by friendly fire in a gang shootout. He's hoping the bus ride helped the jury see it from his perspective.
There were a number of issues that were raised by different photographs, and having the opportunity to take them out to the actual scene helps them understand the various pieces of evidence.
Ortiz turned himself into police shortly after the shooting, and he spent the last 2 years in jail. But Wednesday, he got out and took a seat on a field trip for the history books. In central Fresno, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30, Action News.
That was a very high-profile case, and the man involved is live in our studio right now. David Mugridge, a longtime defense attorney practicing, well, he's been in the business 33 years, and he is also a part-time teacher out at San Joaquin College of Law. He brought his entire staff in here today. You will meet them. He'll talk about his days as a defense attorney. They're not over yet, my friends. He's still working on, like, what, 5 homicide cases right now? You're welcome to call in. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back with more of Connect with Me in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high-efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place. When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here in the program, time to welcome in David Mugridge. Good to see you this morning. How are you, David?
My pleasure to see you, John. It's been a while.
It's been a long time since I ran it. Well, I ran into you a couple of weeks ago, but prior to that, it was, eons since I had seen you. But you're still practicing. Looked like you're still, and you still got the beard.
Yeah, in fact, I still have the beard. A little bit grayer, perhaps, more salt than pepper, but
kind of a trademark almost. Hey, there's David Mugridge.
That is.
I recognize the beard. So that case that we mentioned here in the monologue, that Ortiz case, I don't quite remember it. Maybe I did read about it, but why was that so unusual to take a jury in the bus and take him to the crime scene? Of course, they did that during the OJ case. Remember that?
Yes.
They took him to the house.
Right.
But here in Fresno, it had not happened in a long time, more than 2 decades. Why is it so unusual here?
Well, it's very difficult to arrange to begin with.
Why?
Because you need to have enough security planned. You also have to have some kind of a outline of what you want them to focus on, but you can't talk during the ride. So we gave them a little script, so to speak, showing different points of interest along the way, and we would stop the bus and they could look over it and they could see it, so that when we were referring to it later during the trial, they could say, oh, okay, yeah, I remember that scene, I remember that garage, I remember that hole in the wall that you pointed out, and it brings to life the case that would otherwise be a little bit less exciting in the courtroom.
So you have to worry about security concerns in regards to the jury?
Yes.
Their safety?
You have, absolutely.
Because they're targets?
Well, anytime you're out in the street, out in the public with a jury in a high-profile case, anything could happen, and we do not want to take any chances with the security of the jurors, and we also want to make sure that the defendant is secure and there's no problem, and the judge. So it is a security I won't say it's a nightmare, but it's very, very complicated,
So
and it takes time to set up.
Police, sheriff, who else?
Well, if it's in the city of Fresno, it's the city of Fresno and the sheriff combined that arrange for it. You have to have, besides the cars that you saw there were other units that were out there clearing the area before we got there to make sure that there was no problem and that nobody was going to try to interfere with us. So it took a couple of weeks to arrange.
Wow. And so the jurors are not allowed to talk to each other.
Correct.
But they're allowed to take notes?
They're allowed to take notes, and they did have a little chart so they knew essentially where we were going and what the salient points were.
Yeah. It's such an old case now, though, because it's almost 8 years old. But it just brings to light, even now, and it always will bring to light, if you're talking about, a big high-profile case, whether or not a jury can leave the courtroom and go to the scene. And is that since it's not common here in Fresno to do that because of security concerns that you mentioned, is it commonplace in other cities?
No, I think it's also unusual in most other cities because of the security complications that are involved. The bigger the city, the more dangerous the area that you might be going to, the more problems and concerns they have. So it's not normally done. Do
defense attorneys, even though it's not common here in Fresno, you know all these defense attorneys in town. I'm sure you know them. You know Charles Chuck McGill.
Right.
I could mention a few others, but Charles has been on this program. That's why I mentioned him. So have you talked to other attorneys that maybe have tried to get the jurors to go out and they're unsuccessful? I haven't heard of any other attorneys that in the local area that tried it and didn't get it done or even tried it at all. So there may be, but I'm not aware of anyone. The advantage for the defense attorney is what? Well, the advantage is, for me, is huge because I want the jury to understand my point of view of the facts that the prosecutor has presented. Yeah. And in certain cases, there is no, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, not necessarily in the courtroom, because I want the jury to really feel what it's like to be there so they can understand where my client was coming from. They get a better picture of the cold photographs and evidence that's brought in because they're on the scene. And when I say, a shot rang out and there were echoes through the neighborhood, they understand what that means because they've been there. That's very helpful. Because you've had so many high-profile cases here in Fresno. You've had remember the Ewell brothers? Yes. That was a high-profile case in the 90s, and then you had in 2001, I believe, was it, or 2005 was the Marcus Wesson case. I'm surprised the jury didn't go out to any of these places, the crime scenes. Well, every case is unique, and sometimes the attorneys may think that it's not worth the trouble to go out there. I don't do it. In fact, that was, I think, the only time that I've attempted to do it in my career, although I suspect I may be doing it again before I'm done. Is that right? Yes. Because you've been practicing more than 33 years now. That was the first time you tried it? That was the first time I tried it. And before we go to break here, I got to go to break, but so what did you tell the judge to convince him, and who was the judge? So you must have been pretty convincing. I mean, well, it worked. Whatever I said, the judge agreed with me, and the district attorney did not disagree with us. He saw some advantage to doing that, and the sheriff had an opportunity to chime in, and given the time, they had no problems with it. So once you asked and you could show a real good reason for it, and we had a real good reason in that case, it was a real win-win. It was a win-win for everybody at that point. Yeah. Who was the judge? Do you remember? I believe it was Judge Arlen Harrell. Okay. All right. And no objection. No. I mean, just what words of wisdom, though? Do you remember any words of wisdom that you had? Your Honor, this is why I want to do this.
I always try to start everything off, if it please the court, or Your Honor, and then after that, things are a little bit better. And I must have said something like, Your Honor, please.
Pretty please, with sugar on it. But so in 33 years, what is the one thing that you think that you've learned that you could pass on to your staff? Your staff is here today. We'll obviously talk to them too later in the broadcast. What's the one thing that you've learned about being a successful defense attorney that you can pass on to them?
Two things: honesty and humility. Be honest with the jury. Be honest with the people that you're working about what the facts are, and then be humble. As attorneys, it's so easy for us to get wrapped up into our own grandeur, and I think it's a figment of our own imagination. That turns people off, that turns jurors off. So if I walk into that courtroom and I let people know that I'm just going to tell you the truth, and I'm just a simple country lawyer, believe me, it's much more effective.
Yeah, and if you had people ask you this, the people that you represent, one, do you believe them? Two, do you ask them, are you guilty? Did you do this?
I never ask a client whether or not they committed the crime or not.
Because?
Well, there's a real fundamental reason for that. If a client were to tell me I did this crime that I'm accused of, and then he wants to take the stand and testify, and if he starts saying something that's different, then I have an ethical dilemma. Because as an officer of the court, I cannot suborn perjury. I can't allow someone to get up there and lie to the jury.
Right. Are there oftentimes you represent people that you haven't asked the question, but you feel like in your heart, in your gut, I think this guy may have done it.
We're all human, and that's what makes us a better attorney. The Ortiz case that you pointed out, for example, I truly believe that my client was not guilty.
Okay.
And yet he was found guilty.
Okay. Have you represented people where you felt that they were maybe partially guilty or maybe all the way?
Yes, that has happened. But again, the question is, even if you think that a client is guilty of something, you still have this constitutional principle that you have a prosecutor.
Right?
Honestly, you have an obligation to do the best that you can. And if you say somebody is guilty, then the question comes up of what? Of how much? If you're going to sentence him, how much? How many years?
Yeah.
And so there's still work for an honest, ethical defense attorney to work in that venue.
Yeah, so your job as defense attorney is, okay, he might be guilty, but instead of 100 years, we might be able to get him like 15 or 20.
Yes.
And with good behavior, he might get out on parole, perhaps. That's your job.
That's my job.
Okay.
And I had the words of wisdom from a former professor at law school, who's the Judge Oliver Wanger, who always told us, you're an attorney. Don't sit down and be quiet. There's always something you can say, something that you can do for your client. Keep that in mind. They're relying on you.
Wow. And those are words, I guess, that ring true today in any case. And look at any high-profile case, whether it's the O.J. Simpson case, the Ewell case here, the Marcus Wesson case. It doesn't matter. I keep looking at the justice.
Yes.
Has justice been served in both cases? Both to the victims and to the perpetrators.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to look at. Has justice been served? Am I right about that, or am I wrong?
No, that is the number one function of the courts, to serve the people by doing justice. And that requires a honest, ethical defense attorney, an honest, ethical prosecutor, and an honest and an ethical judge.
Those are the three key components?
Yes.
Okay. David Mugridge is here. I urge you to call in. 436-MeTV option 11 if you want to call in and weigh in on the program. Much more to talk about. We'll also introduce you to his partners in crime, my friends. No, so to speak, kind of a play on words there. Back in just a moment with more of Connect with Me.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenner, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
Frigidaire. it means the first electric refrigerator, the first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Boy, someone's got a memory. Somebody texted me a question. Should I ask it? All right.
Sure.
Here we. I don't remember what year. I'm not aware of this case, but you are. Ask David Mugridge what happened to his former office assistant, Brian Waldron. Go ahead and explain.
Brian Waldron was accused and convicted of killing an individual in his apartment, somewhat central Fresno, taking the individual, cutting up his body in his apartment bathroom, and then taking the body parts, putting it into a couple of suitcases into the trunk of his car, taking it up to Shaver Lake, and burying the body up in Shaver Lake. And now he's serving life without possibility of parole, I believe, down in San Diego area near the Tijuana border.
My goodness. When you found out about that, did you just almost like...
I was shocked.
Have a nervous breakdown?
I was shocked.
I mean, someone in your office, for
Couldn't
God's
believe
sake. Yeah, just highly unusual for that case to happen like that. And let me ask you here, I got to find out the time because I got to get your staffers up here too. So 33 years in, what is missing in the criminal justice system? We see so much crime happening in Fresno. You're representing 5 people, 5 murder cases right now. You're expanding your business. You teach at San Joaquin College of Law, downtown Clovis. You've been a lawyer and an attorney so long, and I know so many of the attorneys here in town, and you know, I look at the criminal justice system, and I think maybe people on the outside looking and saying, something isn't right. What isn't right about it, do you think? What would you like to improve?
Well, I'd like to make sure that we teach young people to follow in our footsteps, to be the best attorney that they can possibly be, whether it's a prosecutor's office, whether it's a defense firm. We need to have quality people, ethical people, competent people to do their job, because if we don't, then the system doesn't function well. We have probably, and I won't even say probably, undoubtedly, we have the best legal system on the planet Earth. And it's devised in such a way that we have aggressive representation, aggressive prosecution, and an honest judge in the courtroom making the calls. Now, if any of that fails along the way, then the system goes down. But the system is no better than the people that are there. And that's where the education comes in. That's where we need to have young attorneys hooked up with mentors, trying to understand about how do I practice law, how do I prepare for a trial, how do I prosecute a case, how do I act ethically. So at the nighttime when I go home, I can say to my wife and kids, yeah, I did my job today, and I did a good job, and I'm an honest person.
Well, the biggest person that you have to own up to is yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. Am I right?
Yes.
And you've been able to do that for the last 33 years.
I don't accuse personally people of any crimes. That's not for me. That's for the judge, the jury, or the prosecutor. When somebody comes to me and they ask me for help, it's no different than a doctor in an emergency room who says, this man is bleeding. I don't care what crime he's accused of. I'm going to help him. When someone comes into my office, I presume that they are not guilty, because the law presumes that they are not guilty. And I don't take it upon myself to judge anyone. My job is to make sure that I marshal all the evidence, all the facts, and give them an even shot.
Why is there so much crime in Fresno, do you think?
We've got a lot of influx of people from the community that we didn't have here years ago. We've got a socioeconomic problem that I think adds to it. And we have another problem that's unique in a way, but at the same time, we share a same problem that the school districts have. And that is, we throw kids into a school from different backgrounds, different education levels, different ethnic groups. I heard we have something like 24 different languages, like children spoken in the Fresno School District. And we expect a teacher, having them in their classroom for 5-6 hours a day, to be able to resolve the entire problem. It's not going to happen. Somebody once said it takes a community. And it
So
really
starts
does.
down here.
It starts all the way at the bottom with the families, and attorneys can get involved in this. In fact, I know that my staff are working at CART, trying to help kids over there. And
CART
trying to,
is?
CART, and
I know what CART is, but go ahead and explain.
CART is the school, and I'll let my partner Amanda explain it better. CART is a program that's the Clovis Unified School District.
It's part of their district.
Right. They have some technical programs there, and my staff, Amanda Moran and my associate, soon to be my partner, Janae Kinder, are working there and trying to help kids along. That's what we need to do. And I don't care whether or not you're an attorney, a doctor, a dentist, a plumber, a carpenter. We need to pass on values and we need to pass on skills to the kids that are coming up behind us.
Okay, besides CART, now you teach at San Joaquin College of Law. What are you teaching there? What are you emphasizing to the kids? You kind of touched on it before. You're talking about honesty.
Right.
Always come clean with yourself. Always come clean with your client. Be honest with the jury and the judge. We kind of know that. But when you go to teach a class, and how often is that, by the way?
I teach, and I'm not teaching this semester because I'm preparing for a little death penalty trial.
Yeah.
I teach every fall a class called Advanced Legal Research and Writing.
What is that?
That's a class that's devised for the students at the end of the program to learn how to be more effective writers, to marshal the evidence, marshal the law, put it all together, and really be an advocate.
For the community?
For the community. It's not designed necessarily for prosecutors or defense attorneys, although it's got a criminal background primarily.
Right.
But it's open to anybody in the school that wants to take that class.
Now, let me ask you something. Because the San Joaquin College of Law, I'm going to get a little shout out and a plug to my daughter's attorney, Warren Pabujian.
Who was in my class.
Who was in your class,
right.
Obviously. Yeah, it was many years ago, and Warren's a very high-profile guy like you.
Right.
Okay, you're very well known as well. And so your staff either is going there or they've all graduated from there, and you're a graduate. So are you the only law firm in town that has this unique feature about you?
To my knowledge, we are the only, at least I can say, we're the only criminal defense firm in Fresno that is composed entirely of San Joaquin grads or people that are presently at San Joaquin Law School right now.
And what's so special about San Joaquin College of Law? Because I know my friend Warren raves about it.
It gives people an opportunity to become an attorney that they may not have had any other place. And it allows you to stay home, to stay in your community while you're going to school, to make the connection with the local judges, the local attorneys, so that when you graduate, you've got a head start over people from Hastings and Yale and every place else, because you're here. You're a member of the community. It's taught by local professors who are judges or attorneys in the community. It's a real community effort. I'm very proud of San Joaquin.
Does this dispel the myth that a lot of people have? You don't have to go to Harvard to be a successful, thriving attorney?
It certainly does. And I've heard stats that somewhere between 50% or so of the people from the Grapevine to Sacramento are San Joaquin grads.
They are?
Yes.
That's how special that place is.
That's how special it is.
Wow. Well, you're a special guy. I appreciate you being here. Let's take this call here. David Mugridge is our guest today. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Caller? Hello?
Yes.
Go. You're on the air.
Okay.
Hello? Caller,
Hello?
You're on the air. Go.
I was in a Billy Sue Kids jury years ago. They took us out to
I think what he's saying is that he was a juror on one of my cases, and I
that's
picked,
what I got
and I
too.
picked
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And it raises an issue about how do you pick a jury.
Well, actually, I was going to get into that with much of your staff here.
Good.
How do you pick a jury? But quickly, give us the synopsis, and then some of your staffers can pick that up. Because I've always been interested, and I was recently picked for jury duty, and I got some health issues.
Right.
But anyway, I was picked for a jury a long time ago, back in the 80s in Sacramento. And is it different now? Have they changed the rules? Because 30 years ago, our world was much different than it is now.
Right.
So what is the primary, without going into too much stuff, leave something for your
Right.
staff. What's the primary goal of how you pick a juror?
You want to try to find a group of people that are sensible, that are not overcome perhaps by some very gruesome evidence, which commonly comes in homicide cases.
What about being vulnerable to emotion? Highly charged emotion, like you cry at everything you hear.
I think emotion is good and it has its place in the courtroom, but you have to be careful that you don't have a juror who is so emotional that when they start getting into the evidence, they burst out into tears, they're overcome, they can't describe their emotions to other jurors, they can't contemplate and really discuss the issues. So it's a fine line, but you have to make sure that you've got somebody who is sensible, but also you want somebody that's human. That we don't want 12 computers.
You don't want a robot,
no,
do you?
No.
You want somebody that has their own ideas,
right?
And
I want to be able to connect with them, and I can't with a computer. I certainly can't.
Let me ask you. Okay, I'm going to go to break, but just yes or no. Does the juror have to be a reasonable person that can negotiate, as opposed to a juror that's just stuck with their convictions? No, I'm not going with that. I've got my own ideas. Or do they have to be relatively easygoing and be able to negotiate?
There's an old movie called 12 Angry Men. And one of the problems in that movie, I know it's way before your time, John, but there was a problem in there that they had people that had such strong opinions that they couldn't negotiate. And that's what you want to avoid in a trial. You don't want to have someone that is so opinionated that they refuse to listen to other people.
All right, we'll talk more about the jury selection with your staff. I'm going to do one more quick segment with you, and then we'll get your staff up here. 436-MeTV, option 11. Hey, if you know this guy from the courtroom, if you actually were picked as a juror, call in. Back in a moment.
The new Frigidaire Professional line at Ventura TV Video Appliance. Enjoy generous-sized cooktops and sauté or simmer with ease, while true convection ovens offer even baking and juicy roasting perfection. Foods stay their freshest in spacious refrigerators with convenient controls and clear filtered ice and water. Easy to clean surfaces reduce fingerprints, and the quietest of dishwashers makes cleanup a snap. The new Frigidaire Professional line at Ventura TV Video Appliance. When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
All right, back here on the program, I'm going to try to do this segment quickly because we have other attorneys here that want to come up on the program. All right, you represented Sonia Saldana 17 years ago. She kidnapped a young pregnant lady, killed her and cut her baby out, went to the hospital, claimed the baby was her own. She eventually cut all of her hair off as she was in jail.
Correct.
Sent portions of her hair to various people. She also sent you something in the mail. I don't know what that was. Hang on, caller, get to you in a moment. She eventually committed suicide.
Correct.
In jail.
Right.
You still have what she sent you, and that piece of evidence could eventually go to the Supreme Court. Why isn't this case dead? Why? Because she's gone. The trial's over. What's going on?
Sonia Saldana testified about 3 years before her trial in a case called Doolin, which involved a young man in Fresno that was convicted of killing prostitutes. And I didn't actually know that at the time that I represented her.
Okay.
Subsequently, after she was convicted, she committed suicide, and she left everybody, various people, envelopes. She sent me an envelope, and
you can't reveal the
and
contents.
I can't reveal it. I haven't since I received it.
Is it a letter?
I can't reveal what was in the envelope.
Okay.
I received an envelope, and the district attorney and county council tried to force me to give it to the trial court judge.
They're still trying to get you to reveal?
They wanted me then, and then what's happened is the Doolin attorneys have taken his death penalty conviction up to the California Supreme Court, and they are trying to get the envelope because they believe it will help Mr. Doolin. I cannot give that to them, and I cannot reveal it or open it. So I told them that if they can get the California Supreme Court to allow me to do it, then I will do it. Otherwise, I believe
will it eventually maybe go to the U.S. Supreme Court?
There's a strong likelihood it'll go to the United States Supreme Court because it's an issue of how long does the attorney-client privilege survive? Does it survive after the death of your client? I don't know.
That's the question. That's a
the
legal question, right?
And I said it does, and the trial court judge, Gary Austin, agreed with me, and that's the same issue that now, 17 years later, the California Supreme Court is now taking up.
Wow, is it still valid? That's the key question. That's amazing. And so, if it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, will you be called?
I could be.
You could be. That's amazing. Caller, get to you in a moment. You're working on 5 homicide cases. People that are accused, not convicted, accused of. You're representing, I don't know how you're doing this, but Leroy Johnson accused of killing a couple in their home in Kerman in 2009. Juan Ortiz, 2015. David Pena accused of stabbing his wife in the back, tried to wrap her body in plastic. That was in 2016. Gage Hurtado in 2017. That was this year. And Terry Magruder, a gang homicide there. All of these people are innocent until
Proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by a jury of their peers.
How can you handle 5 homicide cases?
You're going to see why. The only reason I can do it is because I have the best staff in the San Joaquin Valley.
Which one is the death penalty case that you're working on for January?
Johnson, and that's the one that'll go. That's an 8.5-year-old case. That'll go to trial in January of next year.
And that's a death penalty case, and
that's
you're working on that now, prepping?
Yes. I'm prepping for that, and Amanda Moran was just appointed as my associate counsel in that case, so she's working with me on that. But this is really a group effort by my office staff.
Quickly, caller, short on time. Quick. What's your question? I'm sorry to cut you short. Go ahead.
Yes, okay. David, let me ask you a quick question. What is called a mistrial, and what issues can someone have a mistrial and start all over again? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go
Real
ahead.
quick
Quickly.
answer to that. A mistrial is involved when there's some evidence that was admitted that maybe shouldn't have been admitted, or there was some error of some kind that affects the credibility of the trial. Then you might be able to have a mistrial.
I got to get your staff up here.
Please do.
I don't want them coming for nothing here.
Please
All right,
do.
David Mugridge, always good to see you.
Thank
Stick
you,
around.
John.
Back with more of Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno in a moment. Okay.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Giddy up with westerns, we've got the best ones. Superhero sci-fi spin, grab the popcorn and stay in. Drama's mystery and action, take a look and see what happens. Carol, Andy, Lucy, MASH, timeless comedies full of laughs. Hey, that's me!
That's me. That's me, Chief.
Yeah, me, you gotta see. That's memorable, that's me. Me TV.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Unscramble. Sing, honey, sing.
Calling classics, call them the best. calling favorites be our guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
Rhyme it. Me.
That's memorable, that's me.
That's me.
Me, you gotta see. That's memorable, that's me. Me TV.
Back here on the program, Connect with me on MeTV Fresno, and time to welcome in Amanda Moran. She is the partner now, the law partner for David Mugridge and his law firm. It's, let me get the official name. It's Mugridge Moran LLP. Welcome, Amanda. And sitting next to her is Jason Olson. And you are also an attorney?
No, I'm in my third year.
All right, you're in your third year at San Joaquin College of Law in Clovis, so you're almost an attorney.
Almost.
You are David's partner, and I'm glad you're both here because I want to ask you both, first of all, what you've learned from David. I mean, this guy's been practicing a long time. Before you were born, he started, by the way.
That is true.
I was born.
Oh, you were born?
I was born.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Oh, 36. So you were a toddler when he started. Yes. What's the biggest thing that you've learned for David? Because he has so much experience. He's well respected, not only in but outside the courtroom. What have you learned, Amanda?
Gosh, David is a tremendous teacher, and so I don't know that we have enough time here to discuss everything that he has taught us. But I believe
Go ahead and
that
give me some examples.
So from the very beginning, I started out as a law clerk, and from the very beginning, he let me come in and meet the clients and start to really understand the process of what we are doing. We have really, like you said, high profile cases, very complex cases. And so he taught us how to look at the client as an individual and how to
hang on, caller.
Look at the case not just as a legal case, but look at the individual that we have in front of us and how do we ensure that we get justice for this client, for this individual. And so David is a tremendous teacher, and I believe that he has really taught us as a staff how to be a team and how to ensure that we fight for justice for each and every client, because these are people that are looking at death, at life in prison without parole. So,
Jason, you got your whole career ahead of you. What have you learned from David?
I just watch and observe mostly, and he's taken me under his wing, and just the way he interacts at the courtroom, the respect that he gives every single person when we go in. Just basically, he gives me little side tips on what's going on in the courtroom, and I absolutely love that. It's opened my eyes, and in law school, you're in such a vacuum, so to get out of that and get the experience and see and have him give it to us the way he gives it to us is just amazing.
Now, even though David, on occasion, and he's got 5 murder cases on his plate right now, I'll get to you in a moment, caller. You talked about respect. He has respect for everybody, but there comes a point in time in a trial when, David's got to be looking at the prosecution going, really? Are you kidding me? You're going to present that evidence? Really? Even though he maybe he'll let out a gasp and everything else, and he'll disagree, he's still respectful. Am I right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
He doesn't ever lose that focus of, okay, I may disagree, but there has to be a level of respect in doing it. Am I right explaining?
You're absolutely right. And it doesn't start at the trial where we look at what the prosecution has and say, really, I mean, it starts from day one. A lot of times we're looking.
Maybe he's saying that in his head,
absolutely.
but he won't say it out loud.
No, I mean, but there's a forum and there are rules at what the prosecution can really bring into the trial. And so we're allowed to kind of negotiate that before we get in front of a jury. But absolutely, a lot of times we have to keep things in our head because certain things we're not allowed to say out loud. It probably wouldn't look great in front of a jury.
So are you always conscious of that, Amanda?
Absolutely.
What you present and how you present yourself in front of the jury?
Absolutely. The entire trial is a story.
It's hinged on that, right?
Yes, we are presenting a story to the jury about our client, this man or woman who is sitting in front of us. And while the law presumes that they are innocent, the jury a lot of times has decided that because this individual is sitting next to us that they might be guilty. So we have to fight at all stages to really convince these people that they really need to look at the evidence, and not because he's sitting or she's sitting in our chair, but what the evidence says. And has the prosecution truly demonstrated beyond a reasonable doubt that this person has done what they are being accused of?
And I'm going to get one more question in here, and I'll get to you, caller. Jason, you're not quite an attorney yet, but when you look at San Joaquin College of Law, and then you look at the fact that you're working with David Mugridge, one of the best defense attorneys around in the Central Valley or anywhere, you're kind of being fed, this double dose of, wow, this is how it's done. You got this on one side, you got the college, on this side you got David Mugridge. Do the two mesh together quite well?
Yes, they do. Actually, I took a juvenile justice course over the summer at San Joaquin, and at the same time that I was taking that course, I was actually working on a minor case, one that Janae was primarily handling until she went to the bar. And I was learning a lot about Prop 57 because it just came through, and seeing what she had done with it. And it just synced up completely with the juvenile justice course. And I actually felt like I knew more from the internship than I did actually at class. So it's been amazing.
But everything
experience.
coincides. What you're learning in school coincides with what you're learning at the law firm with David Mugridge.
Yes.
All right. Caller, you've been patient. Go ahead. You're on the air with Amanda Moran, Jason Olson.
Yes, I just wanted to ask their opinion. There's a school board trustee, Christopher Del Cerda, that brings a rosary to the board meeting all the time, and he states that being Catholic, it helps him make his decisions. I'm a Baptist, but and I see this and I say to myself, doesn't the Constitution in an exclusionary clause state that our government isn't supposed to promote any one religion, and hasn't the Supreme Court stated that faith or prayer or any of that kind of thing is illegal when it comes to making decisions on how to appropriate government funds and that kind of thing?
Okay, great question. Thank you, caller. Who wants to pick it up?
Wow, that's a really complex question. And
can you make it short?
Yes. Well,
maybe be out of your realm a little bit.
It might be a
too?
little bit out of our realm, but I
You're
will
a defense
say
attorney.
we
You're
are
not-
defense attorneys,
yeah.
correct? And so educational law,
Yeah.
but we do
So just
represent.
to be fair.
To be fair, yes. But I would say that one's individual to bring what is personal to them and their religious beliefs is appropriate, so much that you might also be able to bring your own, a Bible or whatever is personal to you in your Baptist views, and that would also be appropriate. The Constitution allows, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and so it's definitely a fine balance. And so I can completely understand the struggle, but
Well, and here's one question, and I'll ask you, Jason, just to give you a little test here. I know you're a young guy, but okay. So when a juror comes up to the jury box, can they bring with them a Bible? Can they bring with them a picture of their mother and father, or maybe a brother, or maybe a relative, an uncle that was maybe killed? Does the court system allow those types of things for a juror to bring into the courtroom during a trial? Can you hold the Holy Bible in your hands as a juror? I've always wondered that.
I actually don't know the answer to that, but my
Okay.
personal opinion would be why not? If it brings you comfort.
Go ahead, Amanda.
well, I will say
I'm
that.
sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I will
Good
say that
question.
the jury box, does have some privacy, and so one could certainly
so
bring.
it goes up to like
Correct.
right here?
Correct.
Okay.
So you can bring your person, and you could have a picture maybe of your brother or your Bible in your purse, and so you could have it with you if it brought you comfort, but not necessarily displayed
have
on.
it out.
Correct, because I think that creates a very large problem for the court, because then it becomes about that as opposed to about the trial itself.
Jason, what have you learned about jurors in your short time here, and what do you think is the right way to pick a jury, in your opinion?
I haven't experienced a lot of that yet. I know with the case coming up, the Big Johnson case, I believe that they were going to bring me in and have me kind of see how that goes. So I'm still young in that regard, so I hope to learn a lot.
To learn more,
coming
yeah.
up.
Well, you got the best guy to learn from there, David
Yes.
Mugridge. And Amanda, do you have any thoughts
Yes.
about the jury selection and process and what? Hang on a second to put this. Hang on, caller. The jury selection is very complex.
Absolutely.
And it can be, especially in high-profile cases.
Absolutely.
What are your theories on that?
Well, for a capital case, a death penalty case, it's a little bit different as opposed to like a regular homicide as opposed to a
And
death
is it
penalty.
different for federal court than it is for superior?
It can be, yes, but really each case is unique, and so you have to really look at who is your client, what is the story that you're trying to tell, and so the decisions that you might make for one jury and the parameters that you use are going to be very different than you might use for a different trial. And so it's really a very complicated process. It's a personal process.
What do you look for in a juror?
Oh, gosh.
Like if I was a potential juror,
Yes.
what would you look? You're looking at me, and what are you looking for?
I'd like to see humanity. I'd like to see an element of compassion. I'd like to see that you really could consider the evidence and make, like, truly maybe even a moral decision. You know, can you be honest? Can you look at the evidence? Can you stand up for yourself? Can you stand up for your voice? Because sometimes it's just 11 to 1, and sometimes being able to hold on to your personal beliefs is really important in the jury room, because it might be the difference between a life or death verdict.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, caller, I got to make this quick because I got to change out the guest again. Go ahead.
Usually, district attorneys don't like that kind of person when they say you can stand up for yourself. I usually get kicked off. But I was going to ask you, is it true that defense attorneys don't like to ask their clients whether or not they've done the crime? Because that kind of hamstring and hand ties them, because now it's like you can't really battle for them that much because...
Got it. All right. Thank you. Go ahead. I mean, I know David answered that, and go ahead. What's your opinion?
The answer is yes. We don't like to ask them, and for a lot of reasons, because our job is to make the government prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So even if he did what he's accused of, can they prove it?
All right. Got to get the other people on here. It's good to meet you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us.
Amanda, Moran, and young Jason there. You know what? Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations working with David, and I'm sure you got a long, successful career ahead of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you
so much for having us.
All right. Amanda Moran, Jason Olesen, stay put just for a minute. Back in a moment here on Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today. When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on the program, our final remaining moments, and I want to welcome in Janae Kinder and Pedro Ramirez. And you both work with David Mugridge. Now, you're waiting for the bar exam results. You went to San Joaquin College. You're in your first year of San Joaquin College. Let me ask you the question I did not ask Amanda. I did not ask Jason this, but why do you want to become an attorney, and a defense attorney at that? That's a big job. Yes. A lot of responsibility. I'm sure you'll be great at it. But
I think being an attorney is something I've always wanted to do. Maybe not so much a defense attorney. I didn't know what kind of an attorney. I did go into law school thinking I was going to do family planning and estate work. My aunt's a paralegal at a firm in town that does that kind of work. So I kind of grew up being, experienced in that area. And then while in school, the email came out that, Mr. Mugridge needed a law clerk, and I needed some experience, and
who better than to learn from, right?
Yep.
All right. Now let me ask you before I get to Pedro here, and that is, I know a person, and I won't mention the name, failed the bar exam 10 times.
Oh.
Finally became an attorney and is a very successful attorney now. How hard is that bar exam? Tell me. I want to know. I would never mention the name of the person that failed 10 times.
It so far has been the hardest thing I've done. I do have to admit that my class was the first class to take the new 2-day bar
Really?
So I will disclose that. So we haven't seen the results. We don't know what it's going to do to make
They're
a difference on our
for
pass
how
rate.
long?
I took the test back at the end of July, and I won't know until the middle of November. So it takes
Wow.
quite a while before you get your results.
How come, I wonder?
Just there's so many people that go and take it. I mean, they have 6 essays to grade, and they get graded twice, and so people need time to read through and grade our essays.
Wow. Pedro, what about you? You want to become an attorney because?
I wanted to be an attorney ever since I was very little, because of basically I've wanted to make my family proud, and the best way that I felt would be going to grad school, and so I just picked an occupation that I thought I'd be most interested in, and law seemed like it'd be the best one for me.
I'm sure your family's proud of you no matter what you want to do, but law attracted you in what way?
Ever since I was small, the TV shows.
Perry Mason? Don't tell me Perry Mason.
No,
that's a little too old for you. That show.
I did watch Law and Order growing up, some of the CSIs.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, sort of, just forensic wise, and that's why I lean towards the criminal justice side. I didn't choose criminal defense until my high school internship when I was 17, and I was placed in Mr. Mugridge's office when they basically pulled my arm and made me choose. You're a good worker. This would be a great place for you.
Right. Okay. Hang on, caller here. So watching Law and Order and then working in the real world with a guy like David Mugridge with his great reputation, is it much like you thought it would be?
No, not at all.
It's completely different than the TV show.
Yes.
How so?
They get so many real law things wrong. And so you're not going to go in and have your client arraigned and then the very next, what would seem after the lunch break, start a trial. The time that it takes to have a client of ours go through and ensure that he's going to have a proper defense takes time.
Yes, and what about for you? Reality versus perception. The reality is it's not like television, is it? Is it really?
Oh, no, not at all.
Janae?
Not at all.
Did you have those same thoughts too a little bit if you watched, say, Law and Order or whatever?
Oh yeah, I grew up watching Law and Order. My mom is a huge fan. We watched every single episode of every single Law and Order version that was out when I was growing up. It's not. You don't get to go. You go into the courtroom kind of already knowing what evidence is coming in, what witnesses are coming up, what their reports are. There's never going to be that aha moment or that surprise moment.
Gotcha moment.
Yeah, those
gotcha
moments
Perry
don't
Mason
exist.
Moment that we
If you're
see.
doing your job as a defense attorney, those moments won't exist.
They don't exist in your opinion either, Pedro?
I agree. The district attorney's office is supposed to give us everything ahead of time that they're going to use for trial, and we see and use them.
Well, I've only got 1 minute. I want to thank David Mugridge. I've known him for a long time, ever since my days at KMPH. He came in and he was our analyst on the Marcus Wesson case. Very knowledgeable, very honest guy. And so, hey, quickly, the phone number out there. I forgot. I want to give the phone number. What's the phone number to the office?
264-2688.
One more time, quickly.
264-2688.
All right. Thanks to David Mugridge, Amanda Moran, Jason Olison, Janae Kinder, Pedro Martinez. All these people affiliated with San Joaquin College of Law in downtown Clovis. Either they're still going there or have graduated from there. The only defense law firm in town to claim that major feature about their law firm. I'm out of time. Janae, thank you very much. Pedro, good luck to you, and good luck to both of you, and good luck to David Mugridge. We'll have him back. We'll have all of you back at some point. It's only an hour program. See you Monday with DJ Kreiner, the pastor here in Fresno. Can't wait for that. Have a great weekend, and go Yankees.